The champagne flute shattered against the hardwood floor, its delicate crystal exploding into 1,000 glittering shards. My hand trembled, the sting of the glass's edge biting into my palm, but it was her words that cut deeper. "I invited Marcus to the wedding," Sarah said, her voice steady, almost defiant, as she stood in the doorway of our dimly lit kitchen. "If you loved me, you'd understand." The air thickened, heavy with the scent of her lavender perfume, and the unspoken weight of a truth I wasn't ready to face. My chest tightened, a vice squeezing my ribs. Marcus. Her ex. The man whose name she'd whispered in her sleep during our first year together, whose shadow lingered in the corners of our relationship like a ghost I could never exorcise. I stared at her, searching her hazel eyes for a crack in her resolve, a flicker of guilt. But there was only that maddening calm. Her lips pressed into a thin line, daring me to challenge her. "Why?" The word scraped out of me, raw and jagged. My mind spun, replaying the last 6 months. Her late nights at the office, the cryptic texts she'd dismiss with a laugh, the way her touch had grown mechanical, like a habit she couldn't break. I'd told myself it was wedding stress, the pressure of planning our perfect day. But now, standing in the wreckage of the glass and my trust, I wasn't so sure. She sighed, crossing her arms, her silk blouse catching the faint glow of the pendant light. "He's part of my past, David. I can't erase him. He's not a threat to us." Her voice softened, but it felt like a performance, a carefully rehearsed line. "You're making this bigger than it is." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But the room felt smaller, the walls closing in, the hum of the refrigerator suddenly too loud. My fingers curled into fists, the cut on my palm throbbing. "You invited your ex to our wedding," I said, each word deliberate, testing the weight of her betrayal. "You didn't even ask me." Her eyes flickered, a brief shadow crossing her face before she straightened. "I didn't think I needed your permission to invite a friend." The word friend landed like a slap, sharp and deliberate. She turned, her heels clicking on the floor as she walked toward the living room, leaving me in the kitchen with the shattered glass and a gnawing dread. The next morning, the house was too quiet. Sarah had left for work early, her note on the counter. "Gone to the office, love you," feeling like a hollow gesture. I sat at the kitchen table, the sunlight streaming through the window, glinting off the spot where I'd cleaned up the glass. My phone buzzed, a notification from our shared wedding planner app. Guest list updated. My heart sank as I opened it, scrolling past names of family and friends until I saw it. Marcus Reynolds, RSVP, yes. The confirmation hit like a punch, my breath catching as I imagined him standing in the church, watching us vow our lives to each other. I tried to focus on work, but my mind kept drifting. Had she been in touch with him all this time? I remembered the way she'd smiled at her phone last month, quickly locking the screen when I'd asked who she was texting. "Just a work thing," she'd said, her voice too light. I'd let it go, chalking it up to my own paranoia. But now every memory felt tainted, every moment a potential lie. That evening, I confronted her again. The living room was bathed in the golden glow of dusk, the air thick with the scent of jasmine from the open window. Sarah sat on the couch, her legs tucked beneath her, scrolling through her phone. "We need to talk about Marcus," I said, my voice low, trying to keep the anger at bay. She didn't look up. "There's nothing to talk about, David. He's coming. It's done." "Why does he matter so much?" I pressed, sitting across from her, the coffee table a barrier between us. "You dated him for 2 years. You told me it ended badly. Why is he suddenly back in your life?" Her fingers froze on the screen, and for a moment I saw it, a flicker of something raw, unguarded. Guilt. Fear. But then she met my gaze, her expression hardening. "You're acting like I'm hiding something." "I'm not. Marcus and we've made peace. He's happy for us." "Happy for us," I echoed, the words tasting bitter. "Then why didn't you tell me you were talking to him? Why keep it a secret?" She stood, her movements sharp, her voice rising. "Because I knew you'd react like this. You're so insecure, David. You can't handle the idea that I have a past." Her words stung, but they also ignited something in me, a need to know, to uncover the truth. That night, after she'd gone to bed, I did something I'd never done before. I took her phone from the nightstand, her breathing soft, and even as I entered her passcode, our anniversary, a detail that now felt like a cruel irony. My hands shook as I opened her messages, scrolling past work chats and group texts until I found it. A thread with Marcus. The messages stretched back months. Missed you at the coffee shop today, he'd written in January. Can we talk? She'd replied. My heart pounded as I read further. Each text a knife twisting deeper. I still think about you, he'd said last week. Her response, I know. I do too. The room spun, the phone slipping from my hands onto the bed. My chest burned with a mix of rage and heartbreak. She'd lied. She'd been lying for months. I wanted to wake her, to scream, to demand answers, but I couldn't move. Instead, I sat there, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our relationship, searching for the cracks I'd ignored. The days leading up to the wedding blurred into a haze of forced smiles and tense silences. Sarah acted as if nothing was wrong, her laughter too bright, her touches too deliberate. I played along, but inside I was unraveling. I started noticing things. Her perfume lingering on her coat after late nights, the way she'd avoid my eyes when I mentioned Marcus. Each clue was a thread, pulling me closer to a truth I wasn't sure I could face. The wedding day arrived, the church filled with the scent of roses and the murmur of guests. I stood at the altar, my suit too tight, my heart hammering. Sarah walked down the aisle, radiant in white, her smile a mask I could no longer trust. And then I saw him, Marcus, in the third pew, his eyes fixed on her, a quiet intensity in his gaze. My stomach churned, the vows I'd written feeling like ash in my mouth. As Sarah reached me, her hand slipping into mine, I leaned in, my voice a whisper only she could hear. I know about the texts, I said, my words trembling with rage and pain. Her smile faltered, her eyes widening, but before she could respond, the officiant began. The ceremony continued, each word a lie, each promise a wound. Afterward, in the reception hall, I confronted her in a quiet corner, the music and laughter a distant hum. You're still in love with him, I said, my voice breaking. You invited him to watch us, to mock me. Her face crumpled, tears spilling down her cheeks. I didn't mean for this to happen, she whispered. I thought I could let him go, but I needed to see him one last time. To be sure. Sure of what? I demanded, my voice rising. That you love me? Or that you don't? She didn't answer, her silence louder than any confession. And then, from the shadows, Marcus approached, his expression unreadable. David, he said, his voice calm, she didn't betray you. I did. I pushed her, kept texting, kept hoping. She loves you. She chose you. His words should have soothed me, but they didn't. Because in her eyes, I saw the truth, a flicker of doubt, a love divided. I turned away, the weight of her choice and his confession crashing over me. As I walked out into the night, the stars cold and distant above, I realized the betrayal wasn't just hers. It was mine too. For loving her so fiercely, I'd ignored the truth until it broke us both.